Then you say, what will it take to get there?
Well, this is a decision-making point, the earlier one, and then after you actually decide, you start planning for it. You need to know where you are financially placed, and you need to convince other people around you that this is something that is good for me, and this is what I want to do. So yeah, mapping out the route, and just before taking, of course, the planning phase is very, very important. I think this is what they want to do.
Okay, and do you like the idea of mentors where people would give you input?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Elders or wiser people?
Oh yeah, definitely. Take as much feedback as possible from people, but make your own decision according to your own
That's right.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what your parents want, right? And you say, the last one you say is don't look back.
Don't look back. I think it's very easy to look back at this point because you have put in a lot of money and effort and time and energy, your parents' money and everybody's energies into what you are today, and you're successful. So it's very easy to fall back on that. It'll be very easy to look back, and there is a fantastic career going on for you anyways. So it's very easy to look back, but then if you really need to, if you really have to change your career path, you should not be looking back at all. Otherwise it doesn't happen.
Okay. Now, I could have asked this question probably in the last 8 years. The economy is a difficult economy, or it's a challenging economy. Is this a good time for somebody to make a switch, or to follow their passion, or switch careers, or what do you think about all that?
It's a very individual, I think. It depends upon an individual's circumstance, but collectively, overall, I think it's a very, very good time to switch careers. Because, and look at it this way, the economy is slowed down. It's like the whole traffic is slowed down. This is the time when you can open your car door and actually switch cars. You just hop onto that other gleaming one that you always wanted.
Yeah, it's interesting. A guest I had on the show was a mutual friend, Raj Sethi. He said, since nobody's paying you to do anything, go do something you want to do and not get paid for it while you get the experience,
If there is any time, I think this is the time that they should do it.
Yeah. How about the idea that if you want it bad enough, or if you have the passion enough that you can make something happen, do you think that even with some people telling you that, oh, this is difficult, or that intensity would drive a person through, and that they'd be able to accomplish things that on the surface might be kind of difficult to do?
I think in many cases it is possible, but I think this whole phrase of anything is possible is a bit overrated. I could be 80 years old and I would want to run probably a 100-meter dash in the Olympics. It's not possible. I mean, it's I don't need to think twice about it. So I think it's overrated, but again, having said that, I think it's many things that don't seem possible are possible. So yeah, definitely, inspiration matters a lot, but perspiration does too. So
yeah, so it's somewhere in between reality and intensity. I mean, it's certainly the intensity and caring and the passion is going to carry you, but it has to be. It
has to be followed through, and with consistent and persistent hard work. And smart work.
How about the person who already has a job and maybe it's kind of conventional and they're afraid to let go of it or whatever, but they're also thinking of starting their own business at the same time? Do you have any thoughts about that?
In the Bay Area, I have met so many people who do this debating for years, but then there is a point when they actually take the leap, because probably they think it's now or never. And because you need an ecosystem kind of a thing also to welcome that kind of a decision. In the absence of that, it's very difficult, but if it's there, then why not go for it?
Say more about what you mean by ecosystem.
Ecosystem is you have companies and people and systems in place which welcome entrepreneurship. You have funding in place, and you have many options available in terms of as simple as advice from people who have been there and done that. It's all there. If it's all there, then why not? Go for it, definitely.
Let's talk a little bit about the challenges you faced coming over here and starting your own business. Can you tell us a little bit about the human side of the things you faced? And
I think adjusting here is very easy in the sense because all the systems are in place in the U.S. the main challenge that I can think of is accessibility of people. Coming
What do
from,
you
I
mean?
think, in the sense, this could be a cultural thing, but when I was in India, people were accessible, this is what I found, but here with all the communication gadgets and gizmos that we have, at that point, now I'm used to it. I know I can't change it, so I've gotten used to it, but people I found were not so accessible.
You mean they were accessible electronically, but not person to person?
Yes, definitely.
And do you feel that that's where most business?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So, but there were different ways of doing things here, which one has to learn. But of course, once that is in place, there is no stopping anybody, I think. That is one challenge that I faced. In terms of starting my own company, I think, well, the one challenge that I faced was when you are working within a company, and this goes for anybody. For myself, I was doing my own creative thing, creating ads and commercials and stuff. And I was supported by all these teams of people. There was the media, there was the marketing, sales, and planning, and all of these experts who were very good at their jobs. And all these people worked together to support what I was doing, and vice versa, of course. When you start your own company, you especially when the funding is kind of meager, you start doing all of these things also. And of course you're not going to be an expert. The learning curve is very, very steep. But you do all of these things. The main challenge that I found was I usually don't complain. I found it very hard not to complain about it. So that was one thing.
Well, you had few co-workers as part of it, right? You're
Yeah.
you're the boss, you're everything,
right? Right. And for someone for a job profile that requires you to actually stare at blank paper for 3 hours to come up with an idea, you need to look at data and you need to look at finances and, sheets and full of numbers. It was pretty...
Wow. You also have other passions. I know you've told me some of the others, and you have a child and all that. Can you talk a little bit about work-life balance? Because I'm sure running into a lot of people that are just devoting all their life to their work. And how have you navigated starting a company, starting a life?
With a baby?
Yeah, can you talk, not just the baby, but
Yeah.
that and your other interests, how you've been able to
Right.
strike, because it seems like
Right.
that's something a lot of people could learn
Right.
from, not to, well, go
Right.
ahead. Put the words
I
in
used to
your mouth.
work like 18-hour days, and I loved it. I used to love being with my colleagues and never go home and have a toothbrush in my drawer. I used to love that, and no complaints at all. But after a while, I realized there was more to life than just work and just creating ads and just selling shampoos. So trekking was something that I really, really wanted to do. And it was all in my head. And as I said, I had a million dreams. So I had to take that out of my head and actually start doing it. And work has its place, but I thought I should take some time off. If it's now, it's never. Take some time off to do other things as well. So yeah, other passions would be what? I paint a little bit, and I'm an outdoors person. So love trekking, love going down the rivers, and I do take time off with my family.
Did it affect your ability